YouTube comments from a video titled, Why Medieval Bread Was a Superfood While Your Modern Bread Makes You Sick. Part 12.
At DLV0187 wrote,
Bread isn't the problem by itself. It's our food. It's causing most of the problems that we are having, and it's been doing for many decades. Most is poison to our body.
At MEMO 10 to 50 wrote,
See, right off the bat, you tell me medieval communities were hardworking men. If that was true, they would have ceased to exist in one generation. I think it's a hint that I should spend my time elsewhere.
At Jonks 983 wrote,
It's sad we must go through these hoops to get access to food that won't make us sick. But the burden is on those who control our food supply to earn our trust. They lost that trust long ago, and when there's bad conduct in one area, it spreads everywhere.
At Richard Thompson 6079 wrote,
Well, the alleged healthiness of medieval peasants is perhaps exaggerated here. But I can guarantee you that homemade sourdough bread is so much tastier than anything you'll get at the store.
At Eponymous wrote,
Enriching bread and other grain products with vitamins and minerals is a public health measure to prevent congenital conditions like neural tube defects and childhood malnutrition like anemia and rickets. Whereas medieval breads were enriched with stone to wear out dental enamel and grain fungus to cause ergotism. Nutrition wasn't better for anyone of any age or economic status in the European Middle Ages.
As Sublimated wrote,
Medieval bread wasn't a miracle food. Life expectancy was low, largely because of high infant mortality, and adults still faced constant risks from disease, poor sanitation, and limited medical knowledge. Our ancestors weren't healthier or wiser than us. They simply lived in a time with far fewer scientific tools and a lot more superstition. Let's not pretend they had some hidden nutritional advantage that modern science somehow missed.
At A.Dude wrote,
One way to eat healthy bread is to jump on a time-traveling vehicle and travel to any time in the past. Thanks for your meaningful video. We'll go back every week to get my bread there. Any other groceries, if I'm there?
At Rosengelman 5007 wrote,
My dad's family grew wheat in North Dakota a century ago. All 08 of the kids, plus my grandparents, ate homemade bread every day. But then when they started growing red dwarf wheat, none of them could tolerate it. They continued to grow a patch of the old wheat for their own use, and all the time I was growing up, my uncles shipped us containers of the old wheat berries. My cousins grow organic wheat there now, but alas, the wheat gets sprayed with glyphosate at the silo point even though their wheat isn't GMO. It's a mess. You cannot avoid that poison unless you buy grains from a grower that controls the supply chain. 100%.
At MZ6097 wrote,
If you think peasants build the cathedrals, you might need to keep digging for the truth. I wonder how they build the same buildings all over the world with no communication.
Panchito_0 wrote,
I have a sensitivity to bread and don't eat it at all. But when I go to Europe, I can eat the bread no problem. I eat bread and literally have to take a nap because of the insulin spike. It's bad.
At Liafox 5840 wrote,
You can buy great bread where I live. In America, it's all optional, really. It just depends on what you want to spend your money on. Most people choose cheap junk with a 1-month expiration date. In essence, they're dying of their own stupidity because you couldn't even talk these dumbasses out of it. Trust me, I've tried.
Johnny Deep wrote,
I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. I've never had any digestive issues after eating any type of bread. but I stopped eating Wonder-style white bread 50 years ago. That said, I'd like to see how I might improve eating a more pure bread using, say, Einkorn wheat.
At Jessica Yates, 87 wrote,
I make my own sourdough at home, and it's so good, but I just use regular bread flour from the grocery store. I want to try using some of these other grains to see the difference. My grandma has a wheat grinder, so I could probably borrow it and just buy the whole grains.
At Anchormax, 3597 wrote,
I make my own sourdough bread from good quality flour mix plus additional grains for different nutritional and flavor profiles. I even consume most of it after it was frozen, and rewarmed flavor and texture are unaffected, while the resistant starch created in this process makes it unlikely to cause any insulin spikes. And even this bread is not a superfood, not by a long shot. Breads are to be eaten sparingly if you can't avoid it, either because you have no access to more nutritional food, less carbohydrates, and more something else, or you are just an addict like myself who is in need of an occasional fix.
As Susan Bessette wrote,
This has been my experience 100%. I always made our family bread in the 70s and 80s using commercial flour. Then things changed. I had severe stomach pains, getting worse each year. When the kids left home, I quit baking altogether. Went gluten-free, which reduced the problem. 4 months ago, I discovered Italian heirloom flour, then einkorn wheat. I am baking again. Pain gone. Other problems clearing up. Now all I want for meals is einkorn and ancient grains, bread and butter. Life is good again.
At Melissa Brown App 215 wrote,
I'm 61 and grew up on mostly white bread. Today, I prefer hard rye. The American food system is a disaster. I avoid the aisles and shop the exterior or the store.
At Bookmouse 2719 wrote,
I buy whole wheat, spelt flour. Make my own bread. It's not that hard to do. Still, I have no control over the quality of the flour itself. It doesn't make me sick. I probably should start a sourdough starter. I didn't know it was so healthy. Thank you.
At Slivings 911 wrote,
I grew up eating packaged bread and wheat products, and it didn't seem to affect me adversely. When I entered my 50s, about 16 to 17 years ago, I started getting some sudden onset mystery illness that resulted in migraine and stomach/gut issues. I finally tracked it down to wheat consumption. Today I know better than to eat anything with wheat in it, but sometimes I do, and then I immediately start feeling allergy symptoms, sneezy and itchy, nose and sinuses swelling. I can tolerate a little, but if I keep going, I will become sick again. It's like a poison. I don't know why this intolerance for wheat began in my middle age, but I'm not the only person this has happened to. We're not imagining it. My husband, on the other hand, eats bread every single day with his meals, and it doesn't bother him. It's a mystery.
Janet Q3F wrote,
I make my own bread and try to use heritage grains. I am lucky to own a stone grinder to grind the wheat. My one question is, if you purchase the heritage flour already milled, the flour will go rancid quickly. Also, you will start to lose nutrients. Are these companies removing the sperm and germ before bagging the flour to sell?
At Non Sequitur wrote,
Of the good old days when everyone died in perfect health at 37. Modern bread is indeed really bad for you, but argument sucks. Civilizations were built on bread. Yeah, and also eating lead, and slavery, and cannibalism sue.
Jujt wrote,
Eat your medieval food and stay in your medieval way away from us. But the best superfood similar or original to bread is crushed wheat called burgle, or let it be, and 5-type steamed oatmeal, which is then soaked in milk or whatever you like. I haven't found food better than the oatmeal for physical work energy or sports activity.
At Gerilidan wrote,
Medieval breaded stone chips from the mill, chalk that the miller used to fake the flour, and some other unhealthy ingredients as well. It was not a superfood for the lower classes at all. Ruined their teeth and guts. Top of the society had it marginally better as there was not as much of the nasties in their bread.
At Donna Flagg 1953 wrote,
My reaction if I were to eat wheat is hives from head to toe or a very itchy rash on my trunk. I cannot eat ANY modern wheat. I only eat and bake with einkorn from Italy, while we grow it here in the USA. I trust very little from a country that partners with the corporations it has created and poisons everyone and everything it touches.
Clarser wrote,
I think the problem is mostly that in the USA it isn't wheat. It's some GMO monstrosity designed to resemble wheat. Take a look at photos of wheat fields before GMO. It's not the same.
At Don Winston wrote,
This is out to lunch. Modern wheat is not unhealthy or significantly less healthy than heritage wheat. Gluten insensitiveness is a delusion. The only problem with modern bread is that it uses highly refined wheat flour, as this video accurately shows. Also, type 2 diabetes is not caused by eating bread. It is caused by the accumulation of fat in and around your liver, pancreas, and muscles. This is solely the result of consuming too many calories and saturated fat.
At Doryman 402 wrote,
But I can buy a new iPhone and have an oven with Wi-Fi. Isn't modernity just great despite of the fact we aren't taking care of basics and eating poison?
Eschat Shubanen wrote,
One thing the video didn't mention is that industrial flour is often treated with a range of enzymes, none of which are disclosed on the label. Stone milling, while traditional, also comes with the drawback of being tough on your teeth. We bake our own organic whole rice sourdough bread. Not only does it taste fantastic, but it's also easy to digest and leaves you feeling light, comfortable, and truly well.
At Anatapura 3517 wrote,
My older daughter, with ME/CFS, has developed a strong gluten intolerance as part of her raft of symptoms, along with many other reactions to particular food groups. I found in the last few years that soft industrial-type bread sticks in my esophagus, makes me gag, but robust grainy bread is fine. Yet we all grew up with broad healthy diets, minimal processed foods, lots of veggies, cross-cultural diets. It's not just the breads, but many modern foods plainly have an antigenic stimulus they never used to have. Even the diets of the animals we eat has a flow-on effect to us. So important to be mindful of what you eat, what you give your children. Avoid industrial food like the plague.
At Marcy7162 wrote,
You know, wheat doesn't have to be ground and made into bread. You can cook it and eat it like rice or oatmeal. That would decrease the sugar spike even more because you aren't increasing the surface area by grinding it. It does take a long time to cook, so soaking it will help with that.
At Fishin Jiskrul wrote,
Bread was made from a variety of sun-dried fruits and germinated seeds. Today, they didn't germinate the seed first before drying and grinding. Jesus loved bread, especially germinated pine nut and hemp with date and raisin and honey.
At the Japsky wrote,
I mill my own emmer, icon, etc., flour, use my own sourdough starter, etc. The only issue is not keto-friendly and high glycemic index. However, your video is spot on for sure. BTW, I do have slice now, and my wife really enjoys my bread. It is so fun to make.
At Serpensa 6598 wrote,
You can't even bake a proper loaf yourself in the UK because the flour you buy is tainted by calcium carbonate and other artificial additives. Soon, they will add even more folate.
At Rimazone wrote,
Food labeling is not always done in the right way. The honey PPL get often has sugar in it. Q is why can't they label it as sugars and honey syrup instead? It's not honey, then it should not be called honey. Anyway, thank you for sharing. Plant-based is good. Grow some of it if you can. Until new heaven, new earth. According to Revelation, in the Garden of Eden, they have been told to eat seed-bearing plants. I was thinking of that few hours ago. This days, seedless fruits are everywhere. Very strange. Must speak for those who can't speak to themselves, stand up for what's right. They were told to go and teach them with love. Open rebuke is better than hidden love. It says,
At Utopian R3Q wrote,
I would like to get a copy of the transcript for print purposes so I can read and study it in the old-fashioned sense of learning, and then teach my wife and children, as this video is an academic representation of what I've been trying to drum into them for years in my own words, which are general and not versed in all the technical terms.
At Thrillhouse 150 wrote,
I developed IBS after having my second child, and it's so miserable. I often wonder if people in the past had these types of issues when bread and legumes were such a crucial part of people's diet. Thankfully, I can tolerate spelled sourdough, which I was making at home. Unfortunately, my daughter has been diagnosed with celiac disease, so the home-baked sourdough is a no-go. Thankfully, Waitrose sell a spelled sourdough. I really miss beans and lentils, though.
At Ralph K. L9G wrote,
The medieval peasant, with his dark, dense loaf of sourdough, wasn't ignorant. Yes, I was. That's not to say his bread wasn't better than today's bread, but he had no idea about such things.
At Elhovo, Bulgaria 8661 wrote,
The advent of Manitoba hard wheat was the downfall of bread. It's the mother and father of modern bread, and is totally different from ancient wheat, which was unable to be corrupted, as is today's wheat.
At Janitlum 2770 wrote,
IMHO. This is only valid in the Trumpetaria USA and some satellite countries like Small Britain, formerly Great. Here in Europe, we do proper bread using water, salt, and flour. In the US, fabricated bread has milk and sugar and whatnot. Also, many chemicals that are used in food in the US are forbidden in the EU due to toxicity. But I guess even in the US and UK you can buy what you call artisan breads here, just bread, baguette, brat, schleb, etc. Take care.
At Rusty Shackelford V5K wrote,
Oh my God, you designed this to make a bunch of idiots fall for your nonsense. Seriously, shut up, dude. You're spreading nonsense. Bread to begin with is unhealthy. Eating grains that are carbs are unhealthy. You are literally spreading nonsense, B.
Dakota Box HV2E wrote,
While I agree industrial food, bread and others is unhealthy versus a Mediterranean meal plan. Let's remember that medieval people lived to 30 to 40 years old. There was no diagnosis for celiac, IBS, or other illness. It could very well have existed, and likely did because it is often hereditary. People's lifespans are over 80 plus now. The world has done something right. We can all improve our health through better food, but revisionist history isn't helping.
At Gramadonna 6073 wrote,
I mill my own flour and bake my own bread. It is so much better than anything you can buy in the store. I have a Wonder Mill and a Nutri-Mill Harvest, and I love them both. It is my understanding that the Wonder Mill is the only one made in the United States. I think all the others are made in other countries. I only mention that because the ones made in other countries, while they are very good, they are often on back order. When they are in stock, they sell out fast. The Wonder Mill is also very good and is American made and sometimes more available. The Wonder Mill and the Nutri-Mill are both impact mills. These mills produce very fine flour that is great for bread. The Nutri-Mill Harvest and others made like it are stone mills. With those you can grind anywhere from coarse to fine. It won't be as fine as an impact mill, but still very good. I love the ones I have and use them both regularly.
At Chris Parsonson 420 wrote,
I live in the Free State of South Africa. Also here, you cannot call the stuff supermarkets call bread as bread. Luckily here I can buy stone ground wheat flour and make my own bread. Flour, water, yeast, and a little bit of sugar to start the yeast. And no, it doesn't take a long time. It takes maybe an hour of television time.
At Terracotta 6294 wrote,
This is sourdough bread, made with enriched grains. If you don't have whole wheat in your cupboard, put a couple cups of oatmeal in a NutriBullet or food processor. Use that in place of a cup of flour.
At Ella Hutfuls 1146 wrote,
I don't know who all uses glyphosate to kill the wheat and ripen it off, but my family that farms never does that, and I've never heard of anyone that does. Glyphosate typically gets into our grains by being sprayed on fields before planting, deactivating within a week or so, and being taken up by the crop.
At CYN4Rest wrote,
Spot on. True info. I stopped buying store bread 5 years ago. Mill my own flour from ancient grains grown organically. Maintain an active starter. Easy, tasty, healthy. Good video. I'm sharing it with someone who needs this info. And you said it better than I could. Thanks.
At Christine and 8vig 2313 wrote,
Sue Becker has an amazing story to tell about flour. She is a food scientist that worked for Kraft until she found out that even they wouldn't give the flour to the cows because there is no nutritional value.
At Ruth Kelly 184 wrote,
I am so glad I started baking sourdough bread. My daughter has terrible pain if she eats pasta, but has no issue with the sourdough bread I bake. I recently obtained a grain mill and look forward to making whole grain breads next. I feel that big businesses are ruining our food supply. They don't care how many chemicals they pollute our environment with. They sell chemicals to farmers that have no business being placed onto our food. It is time to get back to our roots. Grow, bake, cook, ferment and store as much of your own food as possible.
At Marvink 9994 wrote,
The mortal? Start buying spelt flour white or wholemeal, and start making your own real bread. It's dead easy, nutritious, has a gentle gluten content, and tastes delicious.
At Lee X1Y7K wrote,
Use of corporations are killing the people by using insecticides, pesticides, and other chemicals, and using GMO products such as soy any type and form. I do not eat anything that of soy except when it is certified organic. No bread with lots of hard to pronounce words plus soy. I consume organic, and that is it.
At Haiti Habdalahian 7691 wrote,
They didn't have diabetic because they have to work hard, walk a lot. Now we have machines for everything so our body doesn't work to burn sugar.
At Naruami wrote,
I just found out you are talking about the bullshit that call bread in the use. Not the problem of use Europeans. We still have Biaker East. They still make bread out of flour, salt, and water.
At Karen Compton 5926 wrote,
Just as a passing comment, as I left the appointment regarding increasing issues with a 25-year-old gallbladder problem, my DR asked if I knew that it could be caused by wheat sensitivity. I did not. In fact, I'd been advised to eat more carbs to replace the fat I was told to avoid. I now eat einkorn, a little rye, gram, buckwheat, and oat flours, and am able to eat healthy fats such as nuts, seeds, coconut, olive, and avocado oils, oily fish. And my gallbladder no longer complains. If you're considering having your gallbladder removed, DONT. Try a no-wheat diet that's low-carb, high in fruit and veg fiber, as much raw as you can manage, and reintroduce the healthy fats above. Best wishes.
At Just Another 240 wrote,
Bread was never a superfood. It was survival food. Once population density outstripped the carrying capacity of hunting and herding, civilizations had little choice but to shift to high-yield grains. Ancient breads were indeed less processed and often naturally fermented, which made them somewhat less harmful than modern ultra-processed bread, but the underlying problem remained. Heavy starch dependence still caused widespread dental decay, shorter stature, iron deficiency anemia, and early signs of metabolic disease. The ancient Egyptians are a classic example. Despite eating artisan stone ground, sourdough bread, working-class Egyptians had some of the worst teeth in recorded history, and elite mummies show obesity, atherosclerosis, and probable diabetes. Bread fed empires, but at a clear cost to individual health.
Janix wrote,
I have been following some home-milled bread baking communities. They are adding butter, oil, eggs, and sweetening agents to their dough. It makes the bread fluffy and sweet and tastes like cake, and a lot of people are gaining weight while believing that it is so much healthier over their store-bought bread. I am very interested in the European recipes made with only flour, water, and salt.
A senior, Mary Catherine Perry 547 wrote,
Well, all this is true. Notice the intro. These were hardworking people. Let's not idealize the nutrition of the past. These people died young and had illness that couldn't be cured, and they died. There were no antibiotics.
At Michael 1 Sukanik wrote,
First time watcher on this site. So true, precise, and straight to the point. Sadly, most people are brainwashed by the industry lies. Lately, I put on a table straight from the oven my perfect Heineken bread in front of my visiting friends. Yet, they chose the whitish bread they bought in supermarket.
At MDM 17146 wrote,
Bread is candy. It spikes insulin, so no matter how it is made, it will never be good for you. Whole wheat is even worse because it has many times more oxalates and antinutrients in it. The dawn of agriculture was the dawn of tooth decay, shrunken brain size and stature in humans, and the dawn of cardiovascular disease and diabetes. I love bread and I eat it, but I will never lie to myself and say it can ever be healthy. If I had IBS or eczema, it would be the first thing I would eliminate from my diet.
At The Universe wrote,
To be accurate, while more natural bread is far better for you compared to modern bread, bread itself is actually bad for you. Humans did start having those health issues you mentioned after starting to mass eat plants. Yes, much worse today since the food is even worse, but the health issues started with the agricultural revolution. Dear Anthony Chaffee just did a video summarizing what happened when humans switched from eating primarily animals to eating primarily plants. Video named If Humans Aren't Carnivores, explain this. BTW, I don't subscribe to the 100% carnivore claims. I believe humans are supposed to eat some 1% of our diet from other foods other than animal. We used to also eat berries, honey, root foods, seaweed, etc. Even the most carnivore communities, such as the Inuit, were not in fact 100% carnivore.
At Nancy Thomas 9719 wrote,
Are you saying the modern wheats, such as hard red and hard white grown here in the United States, that are freshly milled, are still not good varieties? That is what I have been using, and want to know if I need to use only ancient grains.
As Susan 1380 wrote,
I paused video to answer question. Bread has been a problem for me for years. I get the standard bloating and such, but also pain and deep pain in my gut that will last up to days. A throbbing, bruised feeling of a pain. Not good.